Wow, it's cold and wet out here in Las Vegas. Looks like a good day to maybe stay inside and work on my putting with one of those putting mats. And if I'm going to work on my putting indoors, there are several things that are really important to me. Number one, I want it to be as realistic as possible while it's indoors. Number two, I want the cup to work the same way that the cup works outdoors on the golf course. And number three, I want it to be simple and easy to use. So in this video, we're going to compare the Prime Putt indoor putting green and the Perfect Practice putting green that has the Dustin Johnson label on it. We're going to compare those side by side, and I'm going to share with you which one I like best and why. And then you'll want to stay tuned all the way to the end of this video because I'm going to give you the opinion, unpaid for, unsolicited opinion of a couple of professional golfers, including the current #1 putter on the PGA Tour. So YouTube says I have to label this a paid promotion because I received something of value. Let me be absolutely clear. I did not receive any money. No one is in charge of what I say in this video except for me, or of my opinion here, except for me. I wasn't paid for my opinion. However, Ben Snyder at Prime Putt contacted me, sent me one of his indoor putting mats, and I got the compact version because I have a small home, and I compared it side by side, and he also took the risk of purchasing and sending me his competitor Perfect Practice putting mat so that I could compare the two side by side. Again, Ben took a big risk there because he doesn't know what I'm going to say, if I'm going to like his product or his competitor's product. So full disclosure on that, let's get into it. So here's what I did to compare these two indoor putting mats side by side. I laid them out side by side. I took some putts myself on them, worked with each of them. By the way, I've done a review of the Perfect Practice putting mat, the Dustin Johnson Perfect Practice putting mat before, and posted that on the channel. In addition to the videos that I did and the putting practice that I did, I rolled them both up, put them back in the boxes, took them to a friend's house where two young ladies who are not golfers, just learning how to putt, played around and played some indoor games with them. And I'm going to share their opinion with you as well. For starters, for me, the Dustin Johnson Perfect Practice putting mat was a pretty nice product. It works and it works well, but there's some challenges. One is when you unroll it or unbox it, it has crinkles and waves in the putting mat. And they suggest, actually in the instructions, they suggest that you take an iron and work those out. Yeah, I don't know about trusting me in the house with an iron on a putting mat. But anyway, versus the Prime Putt putting mat, which says in the instructions, as long as you roll it with the top area or the green area on the outside, you won't have any issues. My unrolling and boxing them and reboxing them and re-unboxing them and using them in various locations proves that to be true. So the Prime Putt gets a big plus there. It's level and flat and it works without any stretching or ironing or anything like that to take the wrinkles out. Just seems to be better in that way. Second thing is I did a little research and discovered that the folks at Prime Putt did tons of work and research with folks in the turf business and the turf technology business to come up with a design that is the most like putting on the actual golf course, the most like what you're going to find on the green. And not only did I come to that conclusion, but Nikki came to that conclusion, and she's not a golfer, but she thought,
I like the Prime Putt more just because it feels like real grass.
One of the things I found out while researching and testing these two products for this video is that the Prime Putt folks spent tons of money on research and development relative to their cup. And if you'll notice, on most indoor putting mats, it's just a hole. And on the Perfect Practice putting mat, it's just a hole. The ball rolls into the hole and they have a ramp that goes up to it. And for me personally, that ramp never felt quite right. And I understand the concept of the ramp. It's that you get in the practice of hitting the ball firm enough to go into the cup and so you don't leave putts short. And I appreciate that, but it's still not like a real putting green or hole on the golf course. The Prime Putt folks spent lots of time, research and development in putting together a putting green that rolls like the golf course, so you don't need a ramp up, but also their actual cup. They spent lots of time and research and R&D on their cup so that their cup performs like a cup on the golf course. Their cup, simply said, if you hole it on the Prime Putt putting green in your home, you'll hole it on the golf course. If it lips out on the Prime Putt, it will lip out on the golf course. Now, a lot of people like the lines on the Perfect Practice putting mat and the ball return on the Perfect Practice putting mat. And I have to admit that the ball return on the Perfect Practice putting mat seems like a nice feature at first, and I suppose even it is. But what I discovered in using it is that the ball doesn't always return, and I still have to reach and pull the ball out. And so while it looks good at first, it really doesn't perform very well, and so that's a challenge or a problem. Then for me, the lines on the Perfect Practice putting mat, that you try to roll it straight up that line, that's a nice thing and a nice concept, but it has a very fatal assumption. That fatal assumption is that the floor in your home is level. I'm 61 years old. I've lived in lots of homes in my life, had putting mats in lots of homes, installed floor tile and carpeting and other things. I have never in my life found a floor inside of a home that is perfectly level. So trying to roll a ball straight up a line on a putting mat really doesn't work. The other challenge I have is those lines aren't out on the green. Now, I'm a big fan of rolling the ball straight. Get a ruler or a yardstick and roll it straight up that. But a putting mat on a floor that's not level with a perfect line, you try to hit it up that line and your floor weebles or weaves or wobbles a little bit because it's not perfectly level. The ball goes off the line. You think you're hitting the putt straight up the line, but you're not. Or you think, oh, I'm missing that and not hitting it straight up the line, and you're actually making a good stroke. So in my opinion, that's a little bit confusing, and it's not like what you're actually doing on the green. Now, the Prime Putt putting mat does have marker tabs at 3 feet and 6 feet. The compact version that I used, it's 8 feet, but it has a marker tab at 3 feet and 6 feet, so you kind of know how far you're putting, even though it's not numbered and labeled like the Perfect Practice putting mat. I also found that the Prime Putt putting mat was made out of what appears to me to be a much more durable material, a more realistic material. It's certainly thicker. It just feels more like the grass on a real putting surface on the. So my overall conclusion is that the Prime Putt is a much better product because the cup is realistic, the turf itself is much more realistic. It's more similar to what I find on the golf course. That's what other people who have used the mat and tried it, golfers and non-golfers alike, that's what their conclusion has been, and that's what professional golfers have concluded as well. For example, Prime Putt is the official putting mat of the Korn Ferry Tour. Even though Prime Putt did not approach them and ask for that, Korn Ferry folks have said, yeah, we like this one the best, and it's the one that we use. 4-time PGA Tour winner Sean O'Haire says, quote, it rolls very well and is the best putting mat I've ever used. And by the way, he was not paid to say that. The Korn Ferry Tour folks were not paid to say that. The current #1 ranked putter on the PGA Tour, Taylor Montgomery, had this to say. Prime Putt is the perfect putting mat to help you dial in your putting at home and helps prepare me for the greens I see weekly on the PGA Tour. So next time you're in the market for an indoor putting mat, I strongly recommend that you check out Prime Putt. It's better made, it's more like real golf courses. It'll help you enjoy your practice time and make more putts. And if you like making more putts, then give this channel a subscribe, tap in on that like button, and share this video with friends. And until next time, here's to you making more putts.